Chosen one. Listen carefully. This moment is not random. Heaven has pressed pause on everything else around you so that you can hear this divine interruption. Something holy stirs tonight. The silence of heaven has shattered, and God can no longer keep quiet about what happened on November 16. That date was not just a day on the calendar, it was a prophetic seal. A turning point written in eternity before you ever breathed your first breath. You feel it, don't you? That trembling in your spirit. That ache you can't quite explain. It's because heaven has begun to whisper your name again. You are not forgotten. You were never overlooked. You are being summoned, called out from the shadows into the light of divine revelation. The miracle that began on November 16 is still alive, still breathing, and God is calling you to step into its continuation. For months, maybe even years, you have wondered why the warfare around your life has been so intense, why doors opened and then slammed shut, why relationships broke when they seemed divinely arranged, why peace seemed to vanish even though you prayed faithfully. But now, the truth unfolds. Every delay was strategic. Every rejection was redirection. Every silence was the sound of heaven preparing the stage for this revelation. The angels stood still on that night, November 16, when something in the unseen realm shifted. It was the night the divine order changed. The night destinies were rewritten. And you, chosen one, are part of that story. You carry within you the ripple of that miracle, the spark of that awakening. Heaven has waited until now to reveal the magnitude of what happened, because now your spirit is mature enough to receive it. This isn't just inspiration, it's divine instruction. You are hearing this because you are part of the remnant that heaven trusts. There is a weight to your calling that few will understand, but you cannot keep silent any longer. Just as God cannot stay silent about what he did, neither can you hide from what he is doing. The miracle of November 16 was the unlocking of hidden assignments. It was the breaking of spiritual ceilings. It was the moment God said, "Enough," and commanded the chains to fall. You stood in the fire, but the fire could not consume you. You walked through the valley, but the valley could not hold you. What tried to bury you only served as soil for your resurrection. That's why your pain has been intense. It's proof of divine investment. You are not ordinary, and this message is not for everyone. It's for those who have felt heaven's hand pressing heavily on their hearts. Those who sense that this message is confirmation of something they already knew deep within. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set upon a hill cannot ever be hidden." That light is awakening inside you now. The darkness that tried to suffocate your purpose is trembling, because it recognizes that its time is over. The enemy has fought you hardest at the threshold of your revelation, but he has already lost. God has decided to expose his miracle, and he's doing it through you. Even now, invisible doors swing open in places you once thought were sealed. Heaven is whispering your name in boardrooms, in nations, in hearts you've never met. The ripple of your obedience is creating waves that will outlive you, stirring faith in generations yet unborn, marking you as heaven's undeniable evidence. And while the world sleeps, heaven watches your awakening with thunderous celebration. Angels record this very moment as the hour you rose in faith. Your yes becomes a key, unlocking mercy for others trapped in despair. Through your surrender, God proves that darkness can never silence a chosen light. You don't need to understand every detail right now. You simply need to respond. Heaven's silence has ended, and your silence must end too. Speak life over your calling. Declare that you are ready. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. The timing of this message is proof that God has been orchestrating everything for this moment. Take a breath. Chosen one. Feel that. That's heaven aligning around you. The same voice that spoke galaxies into existence is now breathing courage into your soul. You are being called to step forward, to take your place among those who refuse to bow to fear. The world needs your light, your words, your testimony. You are a vessel of that November miracle, and God will use you as evidence that His promises never fail. If this resonates in your spirit, don't scroll past. Let heaven see your obedience. Like, share, and comment the number 777 below as a prophetic sign that you hear Him speaking. Subscribe so you never miss what heaven releases next, because this is only the beginning of your unveiling. The silence is broken. The miracle continues through you. The night that heaven stirred did not end when the sun rose. Chosen one. It lingered, like incense that refuses to fade, filling the atmosphere with divine electricity. You sensed it, even when you couldn't name it, the trembling in your chest, the awareness that something larger than life was unfolding. Heaven's whispers were meeting earth's tremors, and every vibration carried the sound of divine alignment. Since November 16, the unseen world has been alive with motion. The miracle was not confined to that single day. It was a gateway, a doorway through which divine purposes began to walk into time. The things that seemed ordinary began to shift. The conversations you had, the dreams that repeated, the random encounters that stirred your heart, none of them were random. They were divine breadcrumbs, leading you back to the place where heaven and earth meet. Every chosen soul felt it differently. Some wept without knowing why. Some saw numbers repeating, patterns reappearing, people resurfacing after years of silence. Some found themselves pulled away from distractions they once loved, sensing that heaven was rearranging their focus. You may have thought you were losing interest in the world, but in truth, you were regaining sensitivity to the divine. The unseen tremors were not meant to frighten you. They were meant to wake you. For too long, the world has been numb to heaven's voice, deafened by noise and entertainment. But you, chosen one, were marked to feel what others ignore. When the earth shook beneath you, when peace grew uncomfortable, it was heaven's signal that the old season was collapsing. What was once familiar could no longer sustain who you were becoming. Heaven whispered through closed doors. Heaven spoke in delayed responses. Heaven even hid itself for a moment, not to abandon you, but to amplify your hunger. The more you searched, the louder the whisper became. You have been standing on holy ground without realizing it. The miracle of November 16 was not just something God did, it was something God started. And He started it inside of you. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 33, verse 3. Call to me, and I will answer. I will reveal great and mighty things you do not yet know. That call has been echoing in your spirit since that November night. It is not a suggestion, it is an invitation into divine discovery. The tremors were heaven's response to your calling, the physical manifestation of a spiritual conversation. There are things hidden in your story that only revelation can uncover. The pain, the confusion, the sudden endings, They were all parts of a divine equation whose answer is being revealed now. You thought God was silent, but he was calculating. You thought the shaking meant punishment, but it was preparation. Every delay was designed to synchronize your life with heaven's heartbeat. Now, the vibrations beneath your feet are not instability, they are confirmation. Heaven is aligning, and creation itself is responding. Even nature groans when the chosen awaken. The trees, the wind, the timing of everything, it all seems to bend toward divine rhythm when you are in alignment. You are living in that rhythm now. The same frequency that moved on November 16 is pulsing through your veins. Do not mistake discomfort for disfavor. Every holy movement begins in tension. The tremors of November were not destruction, they were creation. The old world had to quake so the new could emerge. Heaven whispered, and the earth trembled because it recognized the voice of its creator. And now, heaven whispers again through you. You will soon realize that every whisper carries instruction. Sometimes God doesn't shout because he wants to be sought. The shaking was never meant to terrify you, it was meant to teach you how to listen in the quiet. The miracle of that night continues through the discipline of your hearing. Heaven is training your ears to recognize divine footsteps. Look back for a moment. Remember the nights when you felt utterly alone, yet somehow peace lingered. Remember the dreams that felt too vivid to ignore. Remember the words that came to you in moments of despair. Words that didn't come from your own mind. That was heaven rehearsing this moment, conditioning your spirit to recognize his tone. Chosen one. Your sensitivity is not random, it's sacred. You are being refined to carry messages others cannot hear. The tremors have made you unshakable because you now understand that shaking is not the enemy of faith. It's the birthplace of revelation. Heaven is still whispering. The same voice that called light out of darkness now calls your purpose into fullness. The earth still trembles when heaven speaks, but this time, you are steady in the storm. You are no longer startled by the movement, because you have become part of it. You are the echo of heaven's whisper, the human response to divine vibration. And though the world may never understand what happened that November night, you will carry its secret flame wherever you go. You will walk as one who has heard the unhearable and seen the invisible. Heaven's whispers will guide you, and earth's tremors will follow your steps. You stand now in the awakening. Chosen one. The air feels different around you, alive, charged, almost breathing. The realization dawns slowly but powerfully. What happened on November 16 was never coincidence. It was an activation. You were marked that day, branded by heaven's hand, called out from among the ordinary to carry something extraordinary. The marked ones always feel it before they can explain it. You began to see through illusions. Conversations lost flavor. The world's noise started sounding hollow. You couldn't go back to who you were, no matter how hard you tried. You didn't just wake up one morning and decide to change. Heaven decided it for you. The fingerprints of God are all over your transformation. You carry proof of a divine event. Every moment since that November night has been part of a silent initiation, a series of tests meant to confirm your readiness. That's why things felt heavier. That's why relationships shifted, doors closed, and your spirit grew restless. You weren't being punished, you were being purified. The fire around you wasn't sent to burn you down, but to brand you with purpose. When heaven marks someone, the world starts reacting. People sense something different in you, though they can't name it. Some are drawn closer, Others distance themselves. That's because divine oil can't mix with polluted intentions. The separation you've experienced lately is not rejection, it's refinement. You are being surrounded by those who carry similar fire. Those who speak heaven's language without needing translation. Do you remember those moments you questioned your worth? When silence made you wonder if God had changed his mind about you? That was the same silence that precedes the thunder. Heaven often hides before it reveals, waits before it announces. And now, the announcement has begun. You are stepping into visibility, not to be seen by crowds, but to be recognized by destiny. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 10, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." This means you were chosen long before you even knew there was a choice to make. Every stumble, every delay, every unanswered prayer, it was all sculpting your readiness for this moment. The miracle that began on November 16 wasn't just about heaven moving, it was about you becoming. You carry a light that darkness cannot decode. When you enter a room, spiritual atmospheres shift. It's not arrogance, it's assignment. That's why you often feel resistance from people who don't understand you. You're not meant to fit in, you're meant to awaken. Heaven's mark makes you visible to both angels and adversaries. The same oil that anoints you also exposes you. And that's why discernment is now your shield. Don't minimize what you carry. Chosen one. The world may never applaud the quiet victories you fought in the dark, but heaven documents them carefully. Each tear you've cried became ink for the testimony God is now writing through your life. The pain didn't break you, it identified you. There's a language heaven teaches to those. It marks a rhythm of obedience, a cadence of surrender. You've begun to speak it already. It's why certain choices feel dangerous to ignore. It's why compromise feels poisonous. Once marked, you can't pretend to be unchosen. The anointing exposes every counterfeit piece. So, if you've been asking, why me know this? It's because God trusted you with fire. He saw what others overlooked. He heard the prayers you never dared to say aloud. And he chose to turn your suffering into signal flares of glory. The miracle of November 16 was the beginning of this unveiling. What heaven started that night now demands your agreement. You've been awakened not for admiration but for assignment. This is your commissioning hour. Every heartbeat carries the same rhythm that shook the heavens that night. You've crossed from merely believing to becoming. That's why life feels both strange and sacred. It's not confusion, it's transition. You're shedding the skin of who you were, so you can step fully into who you are. The process is holy. The pain is holy. The awakening is holy. You can feel heaven leaning close right now, waiting for your response, not with fear, but with conviction. The same voice that whispered, "Let there be light," now whispers your name. It's time to echo it back. Comment, "I am ready." Write it below, not as a routine act, but as a declaration of alignment. When you type those words, you're saying, "Yes, Lord, I choose to walk in what you already prepared." It's a prophetic act that seals the word you've received. Heaven moves when faith is confessed aloud. You are not standing on the edge of a new beginning, you are in it. Every cell in your body vibrates with divine instruction. Every breath testifies that you have been chosen for this precise hour. Don't doubt it. Don't downplay it. And don't delay it. The miracle that started in November now finds its voice in you. Heaven marked you. And now the world will see the glow of that mark. You are not the same as before. You are the continuation of a miracle that refuses to fade. The silence of heaven has broken, and in its place, a scroll has been unsealed. You feel it. Chosen one, the weight of ancient truth pressing against your spirit. The hidden scroll has always existed, waiting for the appointed time to be revealed. Now that time has come, you are not merely hearing a message, you are witnessing the unfolding of a divine document written long before the foundations of the earth. The unsealing of the scroll is not about prophecy alone, it is about remembrance. You are being reminded of what your soul already knew before it entered this world. That's why this moment feels strangely familiar. Deep within you, something ancient stirs. Something that recognizes the rhythm of heaven's language. The miracle of November 16 was the sound of that scroll being opened, the tearing of a veil between mystery and manifestation. For generations, heaven kept certain things hidden, not out of cruelty, but out of mercy. The human heart wasn't ready to carry the weight of divine knowledge. But now, God has found those willing to walk in revelation, not pride. You are one of them. You are being entrusted with sight, not for spectacle, but for stewardship. You are not here to boast of secrets. You are here to birth them into reality through obedience, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 4, "But you, Daniel, shut up the words, and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase." You have noticed it already, dreams becoming more vivid, scripture feeling alive, coincidences turning into divine choreography. That is the evidence of the scroll unfolding in your life. Heaven is teaching you in patterns and pictures, not paragraphs. You are being trained to interpret the invisible, to read movements instead of pages, to understand that revelation is not only heard, but lived. When heaven entrusts you with a scroll, it also tests your integrity. Knowledge without humility breeds corruption. That's why God waited to unseal this in your life until you had endured pain that purified your motives. Your tears have become ink in the margins of heaven's message. Every heartbreak has prepared you to handle divine responsibility without contamination. You may have wondered why others seem louder in their callings while yours unfolds in silence. It's because you are not called to announce, you are called to reveal. Announcements draw crowds, but revelation transforms nations. When the scroll opens through your life, transformation begins quietly, like seed buried in the soil. You won't need to convince anyone. The fruit will speak. This is the sacred paradox of the chosen. Heaven hides them until the right season, then unveils them suddenly. The unsealing is never chaotic, it's precise. November 16 marked that precision, a divine signature placed on your timeline. Since that day, revelation has been dripping into your days like honey, subtle, sweet, irresistible. You can feel understanding expanding within you, not by force, but by grace. But revelation carries responsibility. You are now accountable for what you know. The scroll does not open for curiosity, it opens for covenant. What you see must be lived. What you hear must be guarded. You are a keeper of mysteries now, trusted by heaven to walk in truth when others settle for imitation. The unsealing also means exposure. Light always reveals what darkness tried to disguise. Be prepared for sudden clarity in relationships. assignments, and even hidden motives, both yours and others. The scroll not only reveals God's plan, it exposes counterfeit purposes that once attached themselves to you. Don't mourn their departure. Every false attachment must fall away to make room for revelation's weight. In this new clarity, you will find that certain scriptures you once skimmed now burn in your chest. Certain prayers you once repeated now roar with meaning. You will see signs in nature, confirmation in patterns of time, and instruction in unexpected moments. That's because the scroll is living, it interacts with creation. You are walking in a divine dialogue, not a dead document. And as you walk, you'll realize that what God reveals, He also empowers. He never exposes a mystery without equipping a vessel. The knowledge you are receiving isn't meant to overwhelm, it's meant to transform. You are being reshaped into a carrier of divine intelligence, one who translates heaven into earthly expression. Don't rush to understand it all. Revelation matures in silence. Trust that heaven releases truth in layers, not all at once. You will grasp what you need in each season. The rest remains sealed until your spirit grows into the capacity to hold it. This is how God protects both His glory and your heart. The hidden scroll has been unsealed, and its words are finding life through your obedience. You are no longer a listener, you are a living prophecy. Walk softly, speak wisely, and let your life itself become a continuation of the divine text. The world is reading you, and heaven is writing through you. The flame that began burning on November 16 still burns within you. Chosen one, it has not dimmed, it has only deepened, spreading like golden fire through the caverns of your spirit. You carry the November fire now, not as a story to remember, but as a living ember of heaven's power. Every breath you take feeds that flame. Every act of obedience fans it higher. You may not see it in mirrors, but the unseen world recognizes your glow. Angels mark you by it. Demons flee from it. Heaven calls it the witness flame, the proof that God has deposited something eternal inside fragile human vessels. You are one of those vessels, designed to carry the holy fire into the coldest corners of a weary world. But carrying fire comes with cost. It demands surrender. It burns away what no longer belongs, until all that remains is purity and purpose. That's why you've felt pressure, because heaven only trusts fire to those willing to be refined by it. Your trials were not punishments, they were furnaces. Every tear was fuel. Every disappointment was oxygen. You have been forged for this. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 4, remove the dross from the silver, and a silversmith can produce a vessel. You are that vessel, silver purified through sacred heat. The miracle of November 16 was not just an event, it was a refining. Heaven took the raw metal of your pain and began shaping it into something that could hold glory without cracking. This is why your heart feels both fragile and fierce at once. You have learned compassion through breaking and courage through surrender. The fire has made you soft enough to love and strong enough to lead. You are no longer the same person who stood in the ashes. You are the flame itself. And now, the world needs that fire. There are hearts around you frozen by fear, eyes dimmed by hopelessness, voices silenced by shame. You are sent to light their torches, to remind them that warmth still exists. Every kind word, every prayer whispered over a stranger, every act of forgiveness, it all carries sparks of divine flame. You are heaven's living lantern, walking through valleys that others thought were abandoned. But light does not thrive in isolation. Even torches need to be lifted high, so their glow can multiply. That is why this message, this divine unfolding, must travel farther than your own hearing. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are not supporting a voice, you are spreading a flame. Every action becomes an ember that lands in another soul's darkness, awakening hope where silence once lived. Imagine it. Chosen one, flames leaping from heart to heart across nations, through screens and distances, until the whole world glows with remembrance of God's faithfulness. You may think a single click or small gesture is insignificant, but even the smallest spark can ignite a forest when heaven breathes upon it. And if this message has kindled something deep within you, consider pouring oil back into the fire. When you give, when you donate even a small amount, you become part of the altar itself. It's not a transaction, it's transformation. Like the widow who brought her last drop of oil. Your act of generosity tells heaven, I believe in the flame. The harvest that follows will not just be mine, it will be yours too, because you helped carry light into the world. Every time you extend your hand in giving, you are saying, keep the fire burning. You are keeping heaven's story alive in the hearts of others who are waiting to feel that same warmth. You are building an altar, not of stone, but of compassion, generosity, and shared purpose. Remember, the greatest fires are not those that burn alone, but those that spread. When Moses saw the bush that burned, yet was not consumed, he turned aside, and that's when he heard the call of destiny. Maybe someone else will hear theirs because you shared the flame forward. Maybe your obedience will be the moment another soul hears heaven whisper their name. You were never chosen to hide your fire. You were chosen to carry it openly, to let it touch cities, families, and nations. What began as one miracle is multiplying through your willingness to shine. So, chosen one, let your fire speak. Let it move through every word you write, every post you share, every prayer you lift. The light you release may be the very warmth someone prayed for in secret. And when you support this flow through sharing, subscribing, or donating, you are not fueling a platform, you are fueling purpose. You are tending the altar of awakening. You are ensuring that heaven's message does not fade into silence, but continues to blaze through every willing soul. The November fire burns on because you have carried it well. Keep it alive. Keep it moving. Keep it pure. The world is darker than ever, but that only makes your light more visible. You stand now at a sacred intersection. Chosen one, the crossroads of delay and destiny. This is where heaven pauses your distractions so that you can feel the weight of choice pressing upon your heart. You have waited, wandered, and wondered, but every delay has been divine. Every pause was purposeful. The timing of God is not punishment, it is precision. Heaven never rushes what it intends to last forever. The waiting that has tested your patience has also strengthened your discernment. What you thought was wasted time was in fact sacred preparation. You were being stretched to carry something greater than answers. You were being trained to carry wisdom. There are moments when destiny stands still, watching to see what you will do with silence. You prayed, but no answer came. You moved, but doors didn't open. You cried, yet heaven seemed quiet. But it was not absence, it was alignment. The stillness you felt was the breath of God, holding back storms that could have destroyed you. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 27, verse 14. Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. This is the anthem of those chosen to walk by faith and not by impulse. You are one of them. You are learning that divine delay does not mean divine denial. It simply means the foundation is still being laid for what your obedience will soon build upon. You have been standing between two roads, one paved by convenience and one carved by conviction. The first path is crowded, fast, full of noise and approval. The second is narrow, silent, and costly. Yet that is the road destiny calls you to. Every delay has been heaven's hand turning your face toward the narrow way. The longer route is the holy one. Remember when frustration made you question everything, when you wanted to quit because nothing seemed to move? In that silence, angels were still working. Invisible threads were being woven. Your prayers were seeds beneath the soil. And the soil never looks busy, but growth was happening underground. That is how heaven operates quietly, deeply, perfectly. When heaven delays, it's not because you are unworthy, it's because the promise deserves protection. If God gave it too soon, your hands might not yet be ready to hold it. Waiting is heaven's way of strengthening your grip before placing the crown in your hands. You are not being punished. You are being prepared to reign. Every day of waiting has refined your patience, sharpened your vision, and purified your motives. You are learning to move not by impulse but by instruction. Every not yet from God has protected you from counterfeit blessings that looked right but carried hidden ruin. Heaven sees what you cannot. That's why your delay is your defense. Some will not understand why you pause when the world pushes forward. But chosen ones do not measure progress by pace, they measure it by alignment. You are not late, you are on divine schedule. The enemy wants you to rush because he knows impatience leads to compromise. But those who wait on the Lord never lose. They only rise stronger when the time comes. Delay teaches you to discern voices. Not every open door is heaven's invitation. Some are traps designed to mimic opportunity. You have been learning this painfully, but powerfully. The more you wait, the clearer you hear. The more you listen, the less you fear. Patience is the gatekeeper of purpose. This is the season when heaven whispers, "Hold still." Do not confuse silence with abandonment. The potter never speaks while shaping clay. His hands do the talking. That's what God has been doing with you, forming, pressing, remolding until your purpose takes the shape of His design. Chosen one, you are standing at a divine threshold. Don't run ahead of His timing now. The next door will open not by force, but by favor. You will know it's time when peace replaces pressure. Until then, keep your eyes lifted, your heart steady, and your spirit tuned to heaven's rhythm. There will come a day soon, sooner than you think, when everything that once felt delayed will unfold with supernatural speed. You will look back and realize that every wait was heaven's way of making sure you were ready for the now. And when that moment comes, you'll understand why the silence lasted so long. Because every second of it was writing your testimony. You'll say, "If God had moved when I wanted, I would have missed what I needed." So, breathe, be still. The timing of heaven is perfect. The miracle that began on November 16 is not late, it's maturing. And just like fruit ripens in hidden places, your promise is ripening in silence. If this word touches the waiting places in your heart, write this in the comments as a prophetic act, 888. That number symbolizes new beginnings, endless flow, and the divine cycle of completion. When you type it, you're declaring, I trust heaven's timing. I will not rush what God is perfecting. You're not waiting for a miracle anymore. Chosen one, you are the miracle in waiting, becoming the evidence that delay is not denial, and that patience births power. Every tear you have ever shed has been counted. Chosen one, none of them were wasted, and none of them fell unnoticed. Heaven keeps record, not of your victories alone, but of the nights you broke quietly, the mornings you rose despite the weight, and the hours when you prayed words too weak to speak aloud. You thought God was silent, but he was listening. There is a sacred weight to sorrow. Pain has a voice that heaven understands, even when words fail. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every loss was not a random tragedy, it was a divine classroom. You were learning endurance, compassion, and faith that cannot be taught in comfort. The miracle of November 16 was not only a moment of power, it was also a moment of divine remembrance. God remembered your tears and decided they had spoken enough. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 56, verse 8, You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle and recorded each one in your book. Pain was never the end of your story. It was the ink that began your testimony. God did not ignore your suffering. He transformed it into a song that only the broken can sing. That's why your spirit feels heavy and holy at the same time. You are carrying the fragrance of someone who has wrestled with God and survived. Those sleepless nights when you wondered if the waiting would ever end, those were the nights angels gathered around your bed. The silence that felt like abandonment was actually protection. Heaven shields the wounded with quiet, because divine surgery requires stillness. Had God answered too soon, you might have mistaken healing for haste. Every tear carved new space in you, space for empathy, space for revelation, space for God himself. Your tears didn't weaken you, they hollowed you out so you could hold more of heaven. That's why compassion flows from you so effortlessly now. You understand pain not as punishment, but as preparation. Think back to moments when you thought you'd lost everything. In truth, you were being stripped of what couldn't stay. The miracle is that you're still standing, heart soft, faith alive. The enemy tried to convince you that pain was the end, but heaven has turned it into your beginning. What once made you weep now gives you wisdom. There's a secret God teaches only through tears, that love and loss are both sacred tools. Love teaches you how to give, loss teaches you how to trust. Together, they shape you into someone who reflects the heart of God. Every time you cried in surrender, you were saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." Heaven heard that prayer as worship. Your tears have watered the soil of your destiny. That's why beauty is beginning to rise from places you thought were barren. The field of your pain is about to bloom. You planted with tears, but you will reap with joy. The same ground that witnessed your sorrow will soon echo with laughter. God always finishes what he starts, and he started healing you long before you realized it. You carry the fragrance of redemption now. Others will find hope in your scars, not because you hide them, but because you wear them with grace. You are not defined by what broke you, but by the one who rebuilt you. The cracks in your heart allow His light to shine through, and that light is beginning to draw others out of darkness. Sometimes, chosen one, the reason you attract hurting people is because your presence feels like safety. Your journey has taught your spirit to radiate comfort. You understand sorrow in a way that few can, and that understanding becomes a doorway for others to step through. God uses the healed to heal, the once broken to bind up the wounds of others. When you walk now, you carry invisible proof that tears do not drown purpose. You have walked through valleys where faith had to become muscle, not melody. And yet, in every valley, grace walked beside you quietly, faithfully, completely. You may not realize it yet, but your story is already speaking to those who are still in their midnight. You are the living testimony that sorrow does not last forever, that joy does indeed come in the morning. Heaven chose you not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful even when you were falling apart. So, stand tall, chosen one. Lift your head, not in pride, but in remembrance. You are the proof that divine compassion is real. The tears you once despised are now jewels in your crown, tokens of endurance, symbols of survival. The bottle that held your tears has become a chalice of strength. Heaven will pour it back upon your life as favor, as joy, as restoration. Every drop will return multiplied, not as grief, but as glory. The winds are changing. Chosen one, what once sounded like chaos now reveals itself as music, prophetic echoes in the storm. The same thunder that once terrified you has become rhythm to your spirit. You are beginning to hear differently. Pain no longer sounds like punishment, it sounds like preparation. The voices of the storm, the trembling of circumstance, all carry heaven's hidden message. You have been prepared for this. In the beginning, the storm seemed cruel. It came when you were fragile, when you least expected it. It tore through plans, dreams, and expectations, leaving you wondering if God had forgotten His promise. Yet now, looking back, you see that the winds were never meant to destroy you. They were sent to reveal what could not be shaken. Every gust stripped away illusions until only truth remained. Storms are heaven's sculptors. They carve away pretense, comfort, and pride. They reveal the foundations of faith, and when the rain finally stops, you discover that you're standing on bedrock, stronger, simpler, and closer to the heart of God. The storm does not silence heaven. It amplifies its voice for those willing to listen beneath the thunder. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings. Chapter 19, verse 12. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. You've been learning to hear that whisper, to find calm in chaos. To listen for God, not in the loud, but in the still. The storm trained your hearing. It wasn't the punishment of heaven, it was the tuning of your spirit. Every trial that once broke your peace has now become a teacher. You've learned that storms reveal what serenity conceals. In comfort, you prayed routine prayers. In crisis, you prayed real ones. The lightning forced honesty from your lips. It stripped away the need to sound holy and left you simply human before a holy God. And that's where transformation began. You began to notice patterns. Each storm seemed to come not to destroy, but to deliver. With every wave, something within you broke free fear. bitterness, pride, the obsession with control. Each surrender became strength disguised as stillness. The storm wasn't chasing you, it was escorting you into obedience. There is beauty in remembering this. Heaven never wastes a storm. What once drenched you in tears now washes your soul clean. You no longer run from rain, you welcome it. Because you understand it carries renewal. Even the thunder now feels like applause from heaven, echoing your perseverance. Prophetic echoes often repeat themselves in your spirit. You've felt it, the recurring thoughts, the recurring dreams, the words that seem to find you again and again. That repetition is not confusion, it's confirmation. God speaks in echoes because he wants you to recognize his consistency. The same message will circle back until you finally see it clearly. And when you do, revelation begins to sound like rain. It falls softly at first. Then pause until you're drenched in understanding. You start connecting events that once felt random. You realize every storm had timing. Every season had instruction. Even your pain was prophetic, hinting at who you were destined to become. What you thought was breaking you was actually birthing you. The storms didn't erase your calling, they exposed it. Each gust of resistance made your roots stronger. Each wave of fear trained you to anchor deeper in faith. You're no longer the same person who trembled at the first drop of rain. You've learned to dance in the downpour. Now, you understand why some storms returned. They weren't cycles of defeat, they were cycles of refinement. Heaven was perfecting your hearing until even the softest whisper could guide your steps. The thunder was never random, it was orchestration. The lightning didn't come to blind you, but to illuminate paths you would have missed in daylight. Chosen one, your ears have been baptized by storms. You can now discern divine tones in what others call chaos. You are no longer startled by change, because you've met God in the eye of the hurricane. That encounter changed everything. It taught you that peace is not the absence of storms, but the presence of understanding within them. You have become the calm in other people's storms. Your peace carries authority because it was forged in turbulence. Others sense stability when they are near you. Not because life is easy for you, but because you've already faced the winds and learned their language. Every time you hear thunder now, let it remind you of promise. Every flash of lightning declares revelation. Every drop of rain testifies that heaven is still watering your destiny. The storm that once made you afraid now becomes your ally, cleansing, awakening, and reminding you that miracles often arrive wrapped in wind. You are the echo, now the prophetic sound carried on the wind. Heaven speaks through you, and the storm amplifies your voice. You don't run anymore, you rise. You don't hide, you harmonize. The storm was not your enemy, it was your initiation into divine resilience. The echo continues, and through it, your story becomes song one that heaven started. The storm refined, and now the world is destined to hear. The call of heaven grows louder now. Chosen one. The air around you carries the charge of something ancient and eternal, the command of light. It is not merely an invitation, it is a divine order echoing through every fiber of your being. The same voice that commanded, "Let there be light in the beginning," now whispers that same decree within you. The Creator is calling his creation to shine again. You have been walking through shadows long enough. Confusion, fear, hesitation, they've all tried to convince you that your light was too small to matter. But heaven disagrees. Your very existence disrupts darkness. When you walk into a room, things shift. Conversations soften. Hearts open. Spiritual climates change. It's not you doing it. It's the light you carry, the same eternal flame that first broke the chaos of the void. The voice of God thundered in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 3. God spoke forth, "Let there be light," and at his word, light appeared, shining bright by his power. The miracle of November 16 didn't only release power, it released identity. You were not simply rescued, you were commissioned. You carry authority over darkness, not because of your strength, but because of the one who dwells within you. The light you bear terrifies what hides in the shadows, yet light must choose to reveal itself. A candle hidden under a basket still flickers, but its flame changes nothing. You've spent too long minimizing your glow, afraid of being misunderstood or rejected. But the season of concealment is over. Heaven does not invest light into vessels that hide. You have been called to illuminate, to stand unapologetically radiant, even in a world addicted to shadows. When God commands light, darkness doesn't negotiate, it disappears. That's the power you carry. Chosen one. You were not called to argue with darkness, you were called to outshine it. You don't need to prove your worth or convince others of your calling. Simply walk in the truth you've been given. Darkness loses its voice where light stands tall. You have felt this war within you, the tension between humility and boldness. You fear arrogance, yet deep down you sense that humility isn't shrinking, it's shining without pride. The true humility of the chosen is to accept the calling and let God be glorified through their brightness. There's a reason you've felt surrounded by shadows lately. Light only matters in darkness. Heaven placed you there intentionally, not as punishment, but as purpose. Your presence is heaven's infiltration strategy. Every workplace, every home, every space you enter becomes sacred territory because the light of God within you refuses to coexist with despair. Don't underestimate the quiet radiance of your faith. Sometimes you'll illuminate through words, other times through silence. Sometimes through compassion, other times through conviction. Every act of obedience is another beam of divine light piercing the atmosphere. And understand this: when you shine, others remember they can shine too. You become a mirror reflecting possibility. The same people who doubted you will one day thank you for refusing to dim yourself. The same darkness that tried to bury you will testify that you were unbreakable. There is a rhythm to divine illumination. God ignites. You respond. The world awakens. You are part of that rhythm now. You are no longer a victim of your past. You are a carrier of divine light, walking proof that God's first command is still in motion. The journey won't always be easy. Some will misunderstand your glow, others will attempt to drain it. But remember, light that comes from heaven cannot be extinguished by human opinion. Even the sun sets only to rise again. You are being trained to glow through rejection, to radiate through resistance, to burn brighter when darkness presses close. So take this moment, breathe, and feel the warmth of heaven rising inside you. You don't have to strive to shine, just stay connected to the source. The more you dwell in His presence, the more natural your brilliance becomes. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more light. And that's what you are becoming. You are a command fulfilled, a walking let there be. When you speak truth, heaven's voice echoes through your words. When you forgive, Light pierces cycles of hate. When you worship, darkness loses its claim. You are heaven's response to despair, the living continuation of the first miracle ever recorded. Comment, light wins. Write it not as cliché, but as conviction. When you type those two words, you are declaring alignment with heaven's decree. You are saying, I will not hide my flame. I will not shrink back into silence. It is a prophetic act, a statement that darkness has lost jurisdiction over your story. The command of light still rings through eternity, and tonight, it finds its echo in you. Shine, chosen one. Shine until the world remembers the sound of heaven's first word. The quiet years, those hidden seasons when nothing seemed to move, were never wasted. Chosen one. They were sacred intervals between promise and fulfillment. The silent hours when heaven was constructing strength inside of you. The test of the hidden season is one of heaven's greatest mysteries: growth without applause, obedience without evidence, faith without feeling. You didn't realize it at the time, but those invisible years were building foundations for a future you could not yet comprehend. Heaven hid you to protect you from premature exposure. The silence that felt like rejection was actually divine incubation. You were being grown in secret, like seeds beneath the soil, destined to rise when the time was right. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 2. Remember the Lord who led you through the wilderness years to humble you and to reveal what was in your heart. That verse isn't ancient history, it's your story. The wilderness wasn't punishment, it was proof. You were being tested, not so God could know you, but so you could know yourself. The hidden season taught you endurance that no spotlight could ever give. You were being prepared to sustain the very blessings you were praying for. Without that hidden training, your purpose might have collapsed under the weight of visibility. You learned to worship without a stage, to serve without recognition, to believe without confirmation. That's why your faith now feels steady, unshakable. It was forged in secret places. The hidden season was not silence, it was symphony. You just didn't recognize the instruments. The delays were percussion. The tears were strings. The quiet was rhythm. Heaven was composing patience inside of you, orchestrating your character to match your calling. What you saw as stagnation was divine synchronization. And now, as the season shifts, heaven is bringing you forward not to impress crowds, but to impact souls. You are being released from hiding, but the humility learned in obscurity must remain. Those who carry fire cannot afford to forget where they were kindled. Your hidden years were your furnace of authenticity. Sometimes we think the world only values what shines, but heaven values what roots. The oak does not envy the rose, it stands tall through storms because it grew unseen for years. You are that oak. Your stillness was strength disguised as waiting. Now, as you rise, let the lessons of the hidden season remain your anchor. Don't despise small beginnings, because small beginnings carry pure intentions. The world will soon see what heaven has known all along. You are ready. And as you walk into this next chapter, remember that every story of transformation deserves to be shared. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are not just engaging with words, you are scattering seeds. Somewhere, someone scrolling through darkness will stumble upon light because you chose to lift your torch higher. You are extending the miracle's reach, carrying the same revelation that once carried you. It's not about algorithms, it's about alignment. When you share, you echo heaven's voice into corners you may never visit. You become part of the divine chain that keeps the message alive. And if this message has nourished your spirit, consider pouring back into the well that fed you. When you donate, you are not giving to a screen, you are investing in souls. Think of it as adding oil to a lantern that lights paths for others. Even a few drops of oil can keep the flame burning through the night. Your generosity becomes a bridge for others to encounter the same awakening that found you. You are not supporting noise, you are sustaining nourishment. Each act of giving, no matter how small, is like placing another brick in heaven's invisible cathedral, a structure built not with hands, but with hearts. And when you contribute, you're saying, "Let this light keep burning for me, for others, for generations." You may never meet those who are healed through these words, but heaven will record it. Your simple act will echo in eternity as participation in revival. The miracle multiplies every time you extend it beyond yourself. The hidden years taught you that unseen actions carry the greatest power. Now, that lesson comes, full circle, your quiet generosity, your small gestures of faith, your willingness to share. These are the modern miracles through which God continues his work. So, chosen one, lift your head and let gratitude speak. You have survived your hidden test. The season of silence shaped you into someone the world desperately needs. You are walking proof that what grows unseen can one day illuminate nations. If your heart feels the tug of this truth, act on it. Feed the flame. Keep the flow alive. You are not just part of this story, you are one of its authors. The sound of chains breaking is not always loud. Chosen one. Sometimes it's quiet, a breath released after years of holding it. A mind finally unburdened. A heart learning to forgive itself. The miracle that began on November 16 was not only light descending, it was bondage ending. Heaven initiated a chain reaction that rippled through unseen realms and found its way into your life. The breaking began then, and it has not stopped since. At first, you did not understand it. Things started falling apart, relationships, habits, comfort zones. You mistook the dismantling for disaster, but heaven was simply undoing what had quietly imprisoned you. The chains were not around your wrists, they were woven through your thoughts, your fears, your self-doubt. Freedom rarely arrives with fanfare, it often comes disguised as loss. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 5, verse 1, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." There were moments you felt stripped bare, as if God had taken everything familiar from you. He wasn't being cruel, he was clearing your hands so you could finally lift them freely. You cannot grasp destiny while clinging to bondage. Heaven knew what to remove and when to remove it, even when it felt like loss. Sometimes freedom hurts before it heals. The chains, though heavy, became part of your rhythm. When they fell away, you felt exposed, uncertain. But that trembling was the sound of rebirth. You were learning how to walk again without weight, without guilt, without the lie that you were still a prisoner. You have probably noticed how your responses have changed. The things that once triggered anger now draw compassion. The temptations that once looked irresistible now look hollow. That is freedom taking shape inside you. The same power that split the Red Sea is now parting your fears. You are not being improved, you are being released. Freedom is not an event, it's a lifestyle. It begins in a moment, but matures over time. The chains around your body may have fallen instantly, but the chains around your mind are breaking layer by layer. God is patient with your liberation. He doesn't rush you. He restores you. Heaven has rewritten your spiritual DNA. You are no longer bound by cycles that once defined your family line. The addictions, patterns, and emotional traps that haunted generations before you have met their end. What began as a miracle in the heavens is now a revolution in your bloodline. The same fire that set you free will spread to those connected to you, children, friends, even those who once opposed you. Freedom multiplies. And yet, freedom comes with awareness. You can no longer return to places that feed your captivity. Not every environment can handle a liberated soul. Sometimes the greatest act of obedience is to walk away from what feels familiar but keeps you small. The enemy will try to reattach what God has broken. Discernment must now become your weapon. You are being called to stand tall, not as a survivor of chains, but as a carrier of liberty. Your story itself is deliverance in motion. Every time you speak truth instead of fear, every time you forgive instead of resent, another chain falls somewhere unseen. Heaven uses your freedom as testimony, declaring to the world that captivity does not have the final word. Think of those who still sit in silence, waiting for their moment of release. Your journey becomes their map. Your scars become their signposts. God never frees one person for their own sake alone. He frees them to free others. You are the continuation of that divine chain reaction. The miracle that began on November 16 has passed through you and is now extending beyond you. You may not hear the chains clattering to the ground anymore, but every breath you take in peace is proof that they're gone. Freedom is not always noisy. Sometimes it sounds like laughter returning, like rest after battle, like stillness that doesn't feel empty anymore. Look closely. Those who meet your eyes now see a different light. It's not arrogance, it's absence of captivity. You move differently because you've been unshackled. Your steps no longer echo fear, they echo purpose. The world will not understand the magnitude of what heaven did that night, but you will carry its evidence forever. You are walking proof that divine freedom exists, that chains can fall without keys, that prisons can open without warning, that one moment in God's presence can undo years of bondage. Stand firm, chosen one. The miracle is not behind you, it's within you. And wherever you walk now, the sound of freedom will follow. There comes a moment when heaven stops whispering and begins calling you by name. Chosen one, this is that moment. You have walked through darkness, endured storms, survived refining fire, and now the voice that once felt distant has drawn near. You are not merely hearing encouragement, you are hearing a divine summons. Heaven is calling you into alignment. You can feel it as stirring in your spirit, a restlessness that won't quiet down. The same God who spoke galaxies into being is now speaking directly to you. You've outgrown the silence. The waiting season has done its work, and the Father's voice now resounds like a trumpet, commanding your full attention. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 1, "Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine." That single sentence carries eternity within it. God does not speak names carelessly. When he calls, he claims. When he names, he anoints. Your name has been echoed in heaven, and the sound of it has caused things on earth to shift in your favor. The miracle of November 16 did not just change circumstances, it changed ownership. You no longer belong to despair, to shame, to the identity others tried to give you. You belong to the one who made you, the one who calls you mine. You are not forgotten, not overlooked, not misplaced. Heaven knows your name. And when heaven knows your name, hell loses its power to label you. When God calls your name, something awakens inside that cannot return to sleep. Dreams you buried rise again. Courage you thought was gone returns. Suddenly, your vision clears, and the fog that once covered your purpose begins to lift. You remember who you are, and more importantly, whose you are. You may think this calling is new, but it's ancient. Before you were formed, you were already chosen. November 16 wasn't your first encounter with heaven. It was the unveiling of one written long ago. You were destined to awaken now, in this generation, for reasons far greater than yourself. Heaven doesn't call lightly. Every summons carries assignment. The beauty of being called by name is that God doesn't use the name others know you by. He speaks the name only heaven recognizes. The world may call you by failure, by sin, by status, but heaven calls you by identity. And when he says your name, every false identity must fall away. Think of Moses hiding in exile, convinced he'd been disqualified. Yet one flame and one voice changed everything. Think of Samuel, still a child, awakened by a whisper that changed nations. Think of Mary, an unknown girl, chosen to carry glory. Heaven doesn't call the famous, it calls the willing. And you, chosen one, have been found willing. This call is not to fame, but to faithfulness. It's not to build platforms, but to build people. It's not about spotlight, but surrender. You've been prepared for impact, not applause. The same God who knows every star by name now calls yours not to inflate your ego, but to ignite your purpose. When heaven calls, response matters. The enemy's loudest weapon is distraction. He cannot steal your calling, but he can drown it beneath noise. That's why this season demands focus. You are hearing heaven again, not by chance, but by design. The Father is calling you back to intimacy, to discipline, to the secret place where instruction flows. Everything that felt confusing will make sense when you answer. The open doors you've been praying for are tied to obedience. The voice that calls you by name does not offer convenience, it offers clarity. And clarity is worth more than comfort. You may feel unqualified. You may even think, surely he means someone else. But heaven makes no mistakes. God knew your flaws and still said your name. He accounted for your weakness before he wrote your destiny. He doesn't call the perfect, he perfects the called. When God calls you by name, every other voice must grow silent. The opinions of others fade. The fear of failure dissolves. The weight of comparison lifts. You no longer need validation from people who don't understand your journey. Heaven's call is your confirmation. This is the moment to answer, to say, "Here I am." And when you do, all of heaven aligns around that single yes. The timing, the opportunities, the divine connections, all of it waits for your response. You are not waiting for God anymore. He is waiting for you to step forward. So, if this message resonates within your spirit, if something deep inside says, "Yes, this is me," then write this in the comments as a prophetic sign, 444. This number represents divine calling, angelic protection, and stability of purpose. When you type it, you're saying, "I hear you, Lord. I accept my assignment." It's not superstition, it's agreement. Heaven moves when earth responds. You have been called by name, and heaven will not uncall you. You may stumble, you may pause, but the call remains. And the same voice that spoke light into darkness now speaks life into you. You are mine. You have walked through the fire. Chosen one. And yet here you stand unconsumed, refined, radiant. What once felt like punishment now reveals itself as purification. The flames that threatened to destroy you have become the very force that strengthened you. This is the mystery of the chosen, that the fire which burns others becomes the light that guides you. Your story has been shaped in the furnace. The people who left, the promises that shattered, the disappointments that carved your soul, all were sparks in the refining process. God never allowed a single flame that wasn't meant to forge something holy within you. You have endured not merely to survive, but to emerge, transformed, carrying the unmistakable fragrance of redemption, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 2, "When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, the flames will not set you ablaze." This verse was never about avoiding fire, it was about walking through it. Heaven doesn't promise exemption from heat, it promises preservation within it. The miracle of November 16 didn't shield you from every storm, it equipped you to walk through them without the smell of smoke. You didn't realize it at first, but the fire was selective. It burned away pride, but left humility. It consumed bitterness, but preserved compassion. It melted away false strength and replaced it with divine resilience. Every flicker that terrified you was heaven targeting what could not enter the next level of your destiny. The fire was never your enemy, it was your tutor. You may remember moments when the flames felt unbearable, when prayers seemed unanswered and nights stretched endlessly. But even then, God was near, not outside the furnace, but inside it with you. He was the unseen presence cooling the heat, the silent whisper saying, "Hold on a little longer." Your endurance became worship. Your pain became prophecy. Every tear that fell in the fire turned to oil fuel for your future anointing. Fire has a way of revealing what cannot be destroyed. You learned that your spirit is indestructible, not because of your strength, but because of His. The same power that sustained Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego sustains you still. You are proof that survival is not luck, it is evidence of divine companionship. There were moments when you thought the fire meant abandonment, but it meant acceleration. Flames refine faster than time. What would have taken years of learning, pain taught you in days. The furnace fast-tracked your transformation. That is why your wisdom seems too deep for your age, your peace too steady for your past. The fire did that. It burned away the unnecessary so that only the eternal would remain. You are walking testimony that some lessons can only be learned under pressure. You can now discern authenticity because you have seen how false things melt. You know the sound of real faith because you heard it in your own voice when everything else failed. Fire gave you vision, not just sight, but spiritual clarity. You can spot counterfeit peace, empty words, hollow promises, because you've seen what truth looks like when tested. And though you emerged from the fire whole, you did not emerge unchanged. Something inside you glows now, an inner flame that cannot be explained by emotion or circumstance. It is the residue of holiness, the quiet confidence of one who has walked with God in the heat and lived to tell the story. That glow is not pride, it's evidence. It says, "I've seen the fire, and I know who stood with me." The transformation goes deeper than your appearance or your words. It reaches into how you perceive pain. You no longer fear the fire because you've learned it's the birthplace of glory. You understand that trials no longer announce tragedy, they announce transition. The fire you once begged God to remove became the doorway to your destiny. Now, when new flames appear, you don't panic, you remember. You remember how He kept you before. You remember how your greatest wounds became wells of wisdom. You remember how your cries became songs. Your ashes became testimonies. Fire has no power over you anymore. It can surround you, but it cannot consume you. It can test you, but it cannot terminate you. That's why peace follows you now, even in chaos. You are not naive. You are seasoned. You've walked through too much to fear what's ahead. You carry the scent of someone who has seen both ends of the flame and discovered that mercy lives in the middle. Chosen one. You are not called to avoid fire, you are called to carry it. The same fire that tested you will soon flow through you, bringing warmth to cold hearts, clarity to clouded minds, and revival to weary souls. You are no longer the one trembling before the flames, you are the one kindled by them. Walk forward boldly, glowing with the proof of divine endurance. Let the world see what faith looks like after the furnace. The fire tried to consume you, but you emerged as light. The battlefield of destiny stretches before you. Chosen one. It is not made of soil and stone, but of choices, words, and unseen forces wrestling for your surrender. You stand crowned in the midst of battle, not at the end of war, but in the middle of it. Heaven's coronation often happens while the dust of warfare still fills the air. The crown comes not after peace is secured, but when endurance has proven worthy. You once thought the crown would come with applause, with recognition, with visible victory. Instead, it came in silence bestowed while your knees were still trembling, while your prayers still echoed unanswered. Heaven crowned you, not because you conquered everything, but because you refused to quit. Kings are not born in comfort, they are revealed in combat. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." Those words are more than farewell, they are the anthem of those who endure. You are among them now, one who has fought unseen wars and kept your faith intact. The victory is not measured by wounds avoided, but by faith preserved. Every battle you faced has carried a purpose. The enemy did not attack you randomly, he attacked the areas of your greatest anointing. He targeted your peace because you are called to release peace. He attacked your identity because you were born to awaken others to theirs. He tried to silence you because your words carry authority. The opposition was not proof of weakness, it was confirmation of assignment. You have fought not just for yourself, but for those who will come after you. Every prayer you prayed in pain carved a path for someone else to walk in freedom. Every yes whispered through tears became a weapon that heaven will place in another's hands. You are part of a lineage of warriors who wage war with worship and conquer darkness through steadfast faith. But every warrior must learn the discipline of wearing a crown. Crowns are heavy. They require posture. They cannot rest upon bowed heads or distracted minds. To wear a crown is to walk in awareness of responsibility. It is to understand that authority without humility corrupts, and victory without grace becomes vanity. Heaven crowned you, not to elevate you above others, but to entrust you with influence that restores them. The battlefield has shaped your character as much as your courage. You've learned that true power is not in retaliation but in restraint. You've discovered that silence can sometimes roar louder than shouting. You've realized that forgiveness disarms more enemies than fury ever could. This is the wisdom of those who wear crowns forged in battle, the ability to govern emotion, to lead by peace even in the midst of chaos. You may not see yourself as royalty, but heaven does. Every scar upon your spirit has become part of your regalia. Each one a gem that testifies of endurance. The wounds that once made you weep now glimmer with divine honor. They say, "This one has fought and still stands." There will be moments when the battle feels relentless again. When new storms rise and old fears whisper, in those moments, remember who you are. Remember what you wear. You are crowned, not because you are unchallenged, but because you are chosen to lead even while fighting. The crown is not a trophy, it's a tool. It reminds you that authority is stewardship, not privilege. You have learned that not every victory looks like triumph. Some victories look like survival, like peace after pain, like choosing love when bitterness beckons. Every time you chose light over vengeance. Heaven called it conquest. Every time you prayed instead of retaliating, angels recorded it as victory. You have conquered more than you realize. Now the King who crowned you whispers strategy. This season is not for rest alone, but for ruling over your thoughts, your emotions, your atmosphere. The battlefield is no longer outside of you, it's within. The enemy will try to pull you back into old patterns, to make you forget the authority that rests upon your head. But every time you remember the crown, you remember who you fight for, and who fights for you. Heaven has not called you to swing blindly at shadows, but to walk as one whose presence itself changes the terrain. Wherever you step, peace must follow. Wherever you speak, truth must anchor. You are no longer a soldier merely surviving. You are a ruler shaping the atmosphere of war. Let the crown remind you daily of grace, of responsibility, of resilience. You carry heaven's signature upon your soul. The world will see the calm in your eyes and not understand it, but the darkness will recognize it instantly. It knows that it has lost jurisdiction over you. The crown you wear is not fragile gold, it is forged fire. It cannot tarnish, cannot break. It represents every prayer, every tear, every victory earned in the unseen. And as long as you carry it with humility, heaven will continue to entrust you with battles that birth glory. Stand tall, crowned warrior. The battle may rage, but you have already been marked victorious. The river is returning. Chosen one. You can feel it in the air, a shift, a sound, a sacred stirring. The river of returning glory is flowing again, and it is heading straight toward you. What was once dry will drink again. What was dormant will awaken. Heaven is restoring what delay tried to drain. There are seasons when the river seems to vanish, when worship feels like dust, when prayer echoes without answer. You lived through one of those seasons. You wondered if the flow was gone for good, if maybe you had done something to dam up heaven's presence. But rivers don't disappear. They go underground to gather strength. You were not abandoned, you were being refilled from below. The ancient words recorded in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, declare, "I will restore the lost years. All that the locust has taken away, I will repay and make you whole." That restoration has begun. The river that once whispered in dreams is roaring again, stronger, purer, more unstoppable than before. It carries pieces of everything you thought you lost: time, peace, confidence, creativity, and it returns them not as memories, but as miracles. When heaven sends a river, it does not ask permission, it overflows boundaries. That's what is happening within you now. Your heart, once careful and guarded, is flooding again with compassion. Your words, once quiet, now carry the cadence of revival. The same spirit that hovered over chaos in the beginning is hovering over your life now, turning wastelands into waterfalls. Every act of surrender you made in secret has created a channel for this returning glory. You may not realize it, but your obedience carved the path where the river now runs. Each time you forgave, each time you trusted, each time you stayed kind when cruelty would have been easier, you were digging the riverbed for heaven's current. Now, the flow has begun, and it will not stop. Everything that felt barren will bloom again. Opportunities will rise like green shoots after rain. The heaviness you've carried will wash away in living water. The miracle of November 16 was the beginning of this current, an unseen convergence between divine mercy and your endurance. But rivers don't flow for one person alone. They move to refresh others. You are not just called to drink from it, you are called to extend it. When you like, share, and subscribe, you're not supporting content, you're extending current. You're letting the river reach dry hearts, still waiting for the rain. Every share becomes a stream branching from this message, finding souls thirsty for truth and hope. Think of it this way: every heart is a cup, and the world is full of empty ones. Some cups are cracked by grief, others overturned by shame. When you share what has refreshed you, you become a living vessel that pours. The smallest ripple you create may become a wave that touches someone you will never meet. And, for those moved to donate, think of your offering not as coin, but as water poured back into the source. Every drop sustains the river's reach, allowing this current to flow further, faster, deeper. It's not about transaction, it's about transformation. You're helping to keep the spiritual wells open for others who cannot yet find their way to the water. Even the simplest acts matter. A comment, a like, a share, they are pebbles tossed into the stream, each creating ripples that stretch far beyond sight. Perhaps your word of agreement becomes the spark that revives someone's faith at midnight. Perhaps your act of generosity funds the bridge by which another soul crosses from despair to hope. Heaven notices every ripple. Rivers teach us that flow demands openness. You cannot both grip and give at the same time. To live in this returning glory, you must live with open hands. What flows through you must also flow from you. Let kindness, forgiveness, and generosity become your daily tide. When you live that way, The river never runs dry. You are not the source, you are the vessel. And the vessel that keeps pouring is the one heaven keeps filling. That's why, even after everything, you still feel full. The more you release, the more you receive. This is the divine paradox of the river of glory. The emptier you become of self, the more you overflow with God. So, chosen one, stand by the banks of this sacred river and watch as it floods your life again. Let it wash away regret, rinse away exhaustion, and revive your spirit with the sound of mercy. You are not just witnessing restoration, you are participating in it. If this message has spoken to your heart, take a moment to reflect and let gratitude become your comment. Leave a few words below, perhaps a phrase, a prayer, a reflection, so that others may see the testimony of returning hope. Your words may be the water someone else needs to keep walking. You can feel it. Chosen one, the air thick with convergence. The threads of time are drawing together. Heaven's timeline and yours meeting at a single, divine intersection. This is the prophetic convergence, the moment when everything that once felt scattered begins to align. You are stepping into the synchronization of destiny itself. What began on November 16 was not random, it was the opening of this alignment, the merging of what was promised and what is now possible. In this sacred convergence, delays make sense. Detours reveal purpose, and even pain shows its design. You are witnessing how divine timing works not as coincidence, but as orchestration. The same God who placed the stars in their courses has been arranging the details of your journey, ensuring that every step, every struggle, every silence leads to this precise now. The Word of God declares in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, "To everything there is a season, a time appointed for every purpose set by God under heaven." In convergence, old seasons meet new purposes. You begin to realize that the versions of yourself you thought had died, those earlier dreams, that younger faith, that innocent hope, were not gone, only dormant. Heaven preserved them for this hour. They now reawaken, refined and ready. Combining with the wisdom of your wilderness years, it's as though every era of your life has walked into the same room, finally shaking hands in peace. When heaven's timing meets human obedience, the result is acceleration. What once took years will now unfold in moments. You will find people, opportunities, and confirmations arriving simultaneously, as though the universe itself recognizes your appointed time. That's not luck, that's prophecy reaching fulfillment. You're not chasing the promise anymore, the promise is finding you. This alignment does not erase the past, it redeems it. Even your mistakes are being woven into testimony. The times you stumbled are now part of your strength. The moments you thought were wasted are being redeemed as wisdom. You can look back without bitterness now, because you understand that every scar had a purpose, and every delay had a destiny. Convergence is not always dramatic. Sometimes it feels like peace after chaos, clarity after confusion, stillness after striving. You'll notice small harmonies in your life, a message confirming a dream, a chance encounter aligning with prayer, a door opening that fits no human logic. These are signs of divine synchronization. Heaven and earth are conversing again, and your life is the language. This is the hour when your inner world mirrors heaven's rhythm. Where you once wrestled, you now rest. Where you once doubted, you now discern. Heaven's tempo and your heartbeat have synced. You are no longer running ahead or lagging behind. You are moving in perfect pace with grace. The miracle of November 16 has matured into a symphony of alignment. The prayers of that night, the ones whispered in trembling faith, are still resonating. Heaven never forgets a word spoken in surrender. What you released then has been circulating through time, gathering momentum until this very moment. Now it returns, multiplied, manifesting in ways you couldn't have imagined. In prophetic convergence, connections deepen. People arrive not to fill space, but to fulfill prophecy. You will recognize them not by familiarity but by frequency. They will speak your language of destiny, walk at your pace of purpose, and carry keys that fit the locks you've held for years. Yet convergence is not only about relationships or opportunities, it's about revelation. God is revealing himself to you in dimensions you weren't ready to perceive before. You are learning that divine presence is not confined to sacred places, it's hidden in ordinary moments. The same God who met you in fire now meets you in stillness. The same voice that thundered now whispers gently, "It was all for this." The beauty of convergence is that it silences regret. There is nothing to undo because everything has been redeemed. Every season, even the ones that felt like failure, now sings its part in the melody of fulfillment. The notes that once clashed are harmonizing. The story that once seemed fragmented has become whole. You are walking proof of divine orchestration, a living symphony of grace. Heaven's movements have not just affected your path, they have aligned your being. You are becoming one with the purpose that once felt distant. When you breathe now, you breathe rhythmically with heaven. When you move in step with divine design. You are no longer reacting to life, you are flowing with it. The timing of heaven has met the readiness of your soul, and the result is convergence. Stand still for a moment and feel it, the seamless union between promise and presence, between what was spoken and what is now seen. This is what you were being prepared for all along. The threads have come together, and the pattern is beautiful. You are living prophecy fulfilled. The miracle of November 16 has found its echo in this exact moment. Heaven and earth have met in you. The heavens are no longer silent. Chosen one. The air trembles with divine resonance as the final trumpet of declaration sounds not from some distant sky, but from within you. What began as a whisper on November 16 has become a roar, a proclamation that heaven has finished its preparation and now releases its decree through your voice. You are no longer a listener of prophecy. You have become its living echo. This trumpet is not the sound of ending, it is the sound of awakening. It declares that the season of silence is over, that every word God spoke in secret will now be fulfilled in sight. The trembling you feel within your spirit is not fear, it is alignment. Every cell in your being recognizes the vibration of destiny fulfilled. The divine pattern has closed, and now heaven crowns the moment with sound. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." This is that appointed time. The lingering has ended. The promises that once hovered above your life like stars beyond reach are now descending, finding form and substance in your hands. You have waited through wilderness and wept through silence, but the trumpet announces that fulfillment has begun. This is not the reward for endurance, It is the continuation of purpose. Heaven never finishes, it unfolds. The trumpet does not signal completion as much as it proclaims transition from revelation to manifestation, from hiddenness to heralding. In the Spirit. This sound is not metallic but melodic. It carries both power and tenderness, declaring, what God started, He will sustain. Every step you took in faith, every act of obedience when no one watched, every prayer whispered through fatigue, they have all built resonance for this moment. The trumpet amplifies the faithfulness of your journey, echoing it into eternity. Look around your life now. What once felt scattered begins to gather. The pieces that never seemed to fit are clicking together like divine architecture. You are standing inside the very blueprint that heaven drafted before your birth. The colors, the shapes, the patterns, they all make sense now. The confusion that once clouded your mind lifts, replaced by a peace that feels both ancient and brand new. This trumpet call also awakens others. It reverberates through generations, shaking slumbering hearts, stirring those who were once numb to spiritual sound. Your obedience has become amplification. When you speak, it is not noise, it is announcement. When you walk, it is not movement, it is message. The trumpet of heaven has merged with the rhythm of your existence. You may not realize how loud your faith has become. It's not the volume of your words, but the vibration of your life. Heaven's frequency now hums in your tone, your presence, your choices. Wherever you go, the unseen realms recognize the sound and respond. You are no longer just praying for revival, you are carrying it. And yet, this sound is not just victory, it's responsibility. The trumpet of declaration also carries commissioning. It doesn't only say, "It is finished." It also says, "Now go." You are being sent not to perform, but to proclaim. Your existence itself has become the sermon. The world does not need more noise, it needs your authentic resonance, your lived testimony of divine restoration. The trumpet does not call you to strive, it calls you to stand. To stand as one who knows that heaven's word cannot return void. To stand in peace, in clarity, in unshakable trust that the same God who began the miracle of November 16 will carry it to completion. Everything has been leading here, the waiting, the breaking, the learning, the fire. All of it was tuning you for this frequency. Now that the trumpet has sounded, there is no going back to silence. You have become a sound in heaven's song, a note that will never fade, because it carries eternity's tone. You are not the same one who began this journey. You've changed from seeker to vessel, from wounded to witness, from believer to embodiment. The light that was once external now shines through you. The trumpet does not speak over you anymore, it speaks as you. You are heaven's declaration in human form. And as this divine sound echoes into the world, it seals your calling. The commission is complete. Go forth not in noise but in knowing, not in striving but in shining. Let peace be your armor, love be your weapon, and truth be your melody. Heaven has declared through you, and earth will bear witness. The miracle of November 16 will forever echo in time through your obedience. The trumpet has sounded. The message has been delivered. The chosen have been awakened. Chosen one, you have reached the end of this divine unfolding. But heaven's story in you is far from finished. What began as a whisper through these words was never meant to end here. It was meant to awaken something eternal inside you. The miracle of November 16 is still alive, still speaking, still flowing through every heartbeat you carry. You have walked through revelation, refinement, and renewal. You have seen how silence can teach, how storms can speak, how fire can form, and how light can lead. This journey was not only a message, it was a mirror. It showed you who you already were: chosen, crowned, commissioned. Now, the world needs to hear the echo of your awakening. Let your voice become part of the divine chorus that spreads light to others. When you like, you acknowledge the truth that touched you. When you share, you let the river of revelation reach another thirsty soul. When you subscribe, you stay connected to the flow of heaven's messages that continue to pour through time. And in the comments below, leave your reflection, a phrase, a prayer, or a single word that captures what you've received. Your words may become the spark that reignites someone else's hope. Together, we carry this flame forward, not as audience, but as army. The chosen are rising. The story continues through every act of faith, every word of love, every heart awakened to destiny. The trumpet has sounded. The call has been heard. Now go. Live as light.